Dickens said, industry is the soul of business and the keystone of prosperity.
The Junior Leagues of New York State present The State That Industry Built. This is a story of machines and the men who made them, of mother necessity and her child invention. This is a tale told by a crankshaft, a piece of wire, a wheel, a legend by an electron. This story was written on a typewriter.
A product of New York industry.
Put on paper.
A product of New York industry.
Copies were mimeographed.
Mimeograph, another product of industry.
And it was produced in a radio station.
Industry.
It was thought up and worked out by people.
The prime factor of industry, people.
Wherever a forge pounds a bar of hot steel, changing it into something with shape and use, behind that forge is a man. Whenever a current of electricity surges into a dead motor and breathes life into it, behind that motor, behind that surge of current is a thinking human being. Suppose we talk about some of these human beings. Let us first discuss the case of Henry. Professor?
The Henry is a unit of measurement like the inch, the pound, or the quarter.
What does the Henry measure?
Self-inductance.
And who wants to measure self-inductance?
Only a few men. The men who design radios, electric motors, television, and power lines.
Why the Henry? Why not the Joe or the Pete or the Charlie?
Oh, the Henry was named after the man who discovered it, a man named Henry.
Henry who?
Oh, no, you don't quite understand. His last name was Henry. His first name was Joseph.
I see. What, by the way, did this Joseph Henry do?
He was a school teacher in New York State. He was the first man to put the electromagnet to work.
Where?
At the Albany Academy.
When?
In 1829.
Say there, may I come in? Say, what on earth is...
I told you to be careful.
Oh, thank you, but where do I step?
Over the wire. It doesn't matter if you kick it.
Knowing you, Joseph, I really shouldn't be surprised at anything I find here. Why all the wire?
I'm trying out an idea I've had in my head for a long, long time.
Which is,
Sending an electrical impulse through a long wire.
They say it can't be done.
So they do. And at the present time, they're right. But you know, Charles, I've been experimenting with my new electromagnet for quite a while now. And I think I may have something.
That's why all the wire, eh?
I have 2 miles of it strung around this room. On one end is my electromagnet and that little dinner bell. On the other, my batteries.
Don't tell me you're going to...
Exactly. Ring the bell through 2 miles of wire.
Joseph, I don't think you can do it.
We'll see. We'll see. All right.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Joseph, pardon me for asking, but now what? I mean, you've sent an impulse through 2 miles of wire, you've rung a bell, and I admit you proved it can be done, but what good is it?
What good is a newborn baby? Charles, you have an amazing ability of seeing only to the tip of your nose. If I can ring a bell 2 miles away, why not 5 or 10? Why not even send messages? If I can make a bell ring, why not something else? Think of the possibilities.
Well, so I'm beginning to see. Well, Joseph, do me a favor. Ring that bell again. Yes, Joseph Henry's dinner bell did have enormous possibilities. You may not realize it, but that crude apparatus proved that a practical telegraph could be made. Out of it grew the telephone, the transatlantic cable, and eventually our whole modern system of communications. From Joseph Henry's electromagnet came the generator, the transformer, the relay, the tools of the electric industry. And because of his pioneer work in the field of electricity, we today can enjoy benefits too numerous to mention. We can listen to the radio, watch television, ride on modern trains, use washing machines, and have our cities lighted at night. To Joseph Henry, a son of New York State, and his wires, his magnets, and his dinner bell, we owe a vote of gratitude. Fate sometimes determines our future in peculiar ways. Some men trip and fall into a pile of mud. Others trip, fall, and in doing so uncover a gold mine. And so it was with John Wesley Hyatt, an Albany printer. You might not believe me if I told you that our camera film, our fountain pens and combs and sunglasses, and a host of other items came to be made because of an ivory shortage in Africa in 1867.
Gentlemen, I need not remind you that the billiard ball industry is faced with a serious situation. I, myself, have enough ivory on hand to manufacture billiard balls for only another 2 months. After that, who knows? The answer, or I should say the problem, is obvious. With so little ivory coming in from Africa, we must find or invent a substitute material from which we can make billiard balls. Any ideas?
My chemists have been working on something.
What did they come up with?
Nothing.
Exactly. Now, gentlemen, this is my idea. Suppose we all pool some money, say $10,000. We offer it as a prize to the first man to give us a suitable billiard ball not made out of ivory. I think each of us here can spare $2,000 to keep ourselves from going into bankruptcy.
And so in the home of the printer John Hyatt.
Why so moody, John?
Oh, I printed up a handbill today, Sarah. Seems the billiard ball industry is offering $10,000 to the one who invents a billiard ball made of something besides ivory. They want these handbills printed and distributed right away.
So?
Well, so I was wondering, maybe I could sort of, well, you know.
John, haven't you enough to do without...
I know, but in my spare time, dear, I thought that, well, maybe I... No, huh?
Absolutely not. I love you, John Hyatt, and I don't like the idea of your blowing yourself up with all those evil-smelling concoctions.
But, Sarah, there are $10,000 involved, and I promise I won't blow myself up.
Oh, very well. If you must, you must. But do be careful, darling. Anything yet?
Well, I got something.
What's it like?
Soup.
How's it going, dear?
Here's the latest Hyatt brilliancy. Catch.
Oh, it's sticky.
I know. Do you know anybody who wants a sticky billiard ball?
Well?
Sarah, I'm through. I'm finished. As far as I'm concerned, the billiard ball business can just, it can fold up tomorrow. Now look at this. Will you look at it? 2 weeks I worked on this monstrosity. Last night I had my final preparation. I heated it. It melted. I put it into the mold and it flowed. Today I took it out and look at it.
It looks like...
It looks like a billiard ball. It feels like a billiard ball, but weigh it in the palm of your hand. Go ahead.
Why, it's too light. It's practically nothing.
That's right, nothing. Nothing for 6 months' work. Well, that's all. I am finished.
Darling, don't take on so. You haven't lost a fortune, you know. After all, this is only a hobby, and you do enjoy tinkering.
I suppose so. But what stumps me, though, is what to do with this silly stuff. I can mold it. It'll hold its shape. It's light, and yet I can't... Sarah, we've got something. If we can mold it, and if it'll hold its shape, why, we can make all sorts of things. Sarah, we can make anything.
John Hyatt, of course, soon found out that he could not make anything. But what he did make was the grandfather of plastics. Look around you now at your eyeglass frames, pens, pencils, telephones, radio cabinets, records, cameras, films, and a host of products. Look at these and let yourself become aware that we have them today because of a New Yorker's ingenuity. We've heard about Joseph Henry and his dinner bell, and John Hyatt and his billiard balls. But, what is this? This is the sound of millions of gallons of water falling from a tremendous height. We're standing on the edge of Niagara Falls. For hundreds of years, people have traveled to see this great scenic wonder and to listen to the roar of the water as it pours over the rim and falls to the rocks so far below. The sound of the falls. There's another sound made by the mighty Niagara as it rushes headlong to dash itself on the rocks below. This is a generator. From falling water, it makes millions of electrical horses and sends them galloping over miles of copper wire to furnish the muscles of industry. Power to run gigantic industry. Power to light the streets of a city and throw off the mantle of the night. Here is another of New York State's great achievements, the harnessing of Niagara. The harnessing of Niagara was man's dream as far back as the time when the French controlled the northern part of New York State.
It is our opinion that the Niagara River affords excellent possibilities toward the erection of water wheels along its banks. Unfortunately, the falls at the lower part of the river and the rapids which follow are far too swift to lend themselves to the construction.
Use the river for water wheels. Turn a mill wheel by water power. All over New York State in the early days, mill wheels were being turned by the currents of streams and rivers. Many of the cities of the state grew at their present sites because there happened to be a convenient stream to supply power for their industry. But for a long time, the greatest stream, the largest possible source of power, Niagara, remained untamed. In 1810, Governor DeWitt Clinton said,
It seemed to me that the falls of the Niagara River might be put to some good advantage. Certainly, if we could by some means put to use the power of that mighty wall of water, then perhaps there
So completed in 1853 was the biggest Niagara project thus far. A canal was dug. Beginning 3/4 of a mile above the falls, it channeled part of the water through a canal and continued for another 1/4 mile below the falls. Thus, a small part of the power of this enormous mass of moving water was routed and used. And then, in 1890, under the city of Niagara Falls...
What's going on, mister?
Digging a tunnel.
Tunnel? What for?
Water. We're going to channel off part of the river. She'll flow in at this end, flow out at that.
Now, look, I asked you a civil question. You're not going to tell me you're doing all this digging just so the river can flow in one end and out the other, and then back to the river again. That's silly.
You didn't let me finish. This tunnel is going to be 7,000 feet long, see? We're going to sink shafts into the tunnel from above. At the end of the shafts will be water wheels.
Which end?
Inside the tunnel.
Oh.
On the outside end of the shafts, we put generators.
What?
Generators. The water turns the wheels, and the wheels turn the shafts. The shafts turn the generators, and the generators produce electricity. So you end up with a lot of electricity. The river does all the work.
Say, what'll they think up next?
And so that's what happened to the waterfall. Today, the power obtained from Niagara Falls serves communities as far away as 200 miles. Because of the work of men of New York State, the use of hydroelectric power has been one of the largest single factors in making New York State one of the greatest manufacturing centers of the nation. And so that's what happened to the waterfall. And today, the power obtained from Niagara Falls serves communities as far away as 200 miles. And because of the work of men of New York State, men like Joseph Henry and John Wesley Hyatt, the Empire State has become one of the greatest manufacturing centers of the nation. You have been listening to the story of industry in New York State. This program was produced by the Junior Leagues of New York State in cooperation with the State Department of Education and was produced in the studios of WPTR Albany, New York.